Hello, my name is Emma. Welcome to my channel. Now that my library is built, it is time to sit down and talk about a book. This book, out by Kirino. I actually can't remember the other name of the author because this is part of the special Vintage Classics collection. And for some reason they only have, it's a style thing, it's the second name. So I will put the full name of the author here. And out is a very chunky thriller. And I really have to talk about it. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed my time with this book. So where do I start with this? The basic premise is that there are 4 women who work in a bento box factory. At night as well, they work nights. They start at basically midnight and work till like 5 in the morning. It's a horrible shift, it's a horrible job, but they get paid alright for it. And they're in kind of shitty positions, as we will discuss. But one of the women ends up murdering her husband, and then the rest of the women help get rid of the body. So that is the setup for the book. What a setup. It's obviously not a detective novel. It's not a whodunit. We know who did it. This is more about some women in a very tight situation doing something horrible and then seeing where that goes. I had some expectations of where that would go. You're expecting them to I don't want to say it's their comeuppance. You're expecting them to you're expecting horrible things to happen to them, basically, deserved or otherwise. Someone died, so maybe deservedly. But let's discuss the women one by one. Because really what this book is an amazing character study. And for as big as it is, I feel like I actually could have had more time with some of these characters. So let's go through them. First, we've got Yayoi. I think I've said that right. And she is the one who kills the husband. So she's the youngest of the 4, I think. She's really pretty and quite slim, and she's got 2 young children, but she's got a really shitty husband. As you know, she kills that husband. But what happens is that she goes through like a really interesting transformation. This isn't too much of a spoiler really, but she starts out really dejected. She's a woman going through abuse, and when she gets rid of her husband, she is free, and she's quite naive as well, and I think the fact that someone else deals with the body adds to this. And she's just like, wow, my husband's magically gone and everything's amazing, and oh no, we didn't get caught, and that's again quite early on. So I guess she falls into her own fantasy of, oh, they get away scot-free, and the people around her start slowly judging her of why she's so happy when her husband's disappeared / murdered. So she is an interesting character. Then we have another Y name, which was slightly confusing. We have Yoshi, who is the elder of the group. So she's on the opposite end. She is the one who's experienced. In the factory, she's the one, they call her skipper because she runs everything. She knows all the jobs. She can do the hard work, but she's good at directing other people as well. But interestingly, she's not in charge outside of this situation and outside of the factory. And in fact, outside of the factory, she's really downtrodden. In fact, this is going to be a theme. The theme of this book is definitely women have it hard in Japan in the 90s. So her deal outside of the factory is that she has a daughter who's sort of ready to go to college, but she doesn't have the money to send her, and she is left with a mother-in-law. So she's a widow, her husband's dead and gone, but she is sadly left with a mother-in-law who is bedridden and needs intensive care. She needs a nappy change every day. She needs her sheets changing, she needs her clothes changing. It's a very intensive care role that she's in. And you just see her situation get even worse, with the exception of she gets some money coming in through events surrounding the murder. But oh my god, I just felt so bad for this woman. I will say that I think out of everyone, I feel like I probably could have seen a bit more of her, because there's this huge drop, this thing that happens to her midway through the book, where she's left in an even worse position, and then the book moves on to other characters, and I'm like, but what? How's it going with her? Is she okay? The answer is she's probably not okay, which is really sad. So that's her. Then we have Kiniko. That's right, Kiniko. She's more of probably the most like an outsider of the group, sort of. So she's really into appearances and fashion. But the thing is, she can't afford fashion. So she is someone who will take out loans. She hates the idea of not being able to buy something. So that means that she's got an apartment that doesn't have some of the normal things, but just has this high fashion stuff. And she also has a really nice car, again, that she can't afford. So she is drowning in debts, which becomes really important during the course of the book. Because she has these loans over her head, that brings other people, it brings loan sharks into the story, and it pressures her to behave in a way where she'll blackmail people. I really don't like Kiniko. She is the type of person I really don't like, and I think that would probably be common for quite a lot of people reading this. But it's such a great way that the book weaves these things into each other. It's not just a character thing, it also drives the plot quite a lot, that she behaves in this way and is involved with loan sharks. So that will bring us to Marioka, the last character. I save her for last because really she is the main character of the four. When Yayoi I'm gonna say that different ways. When she kills her husband, Marioka is the first person that she rings. People kind of criticize Marioka as being like quite cold, but it sort of works in their favor during this moment because she just shows up. Right, where do you want me? Where do you need me? What we doing? Right, okay, I'll move the body. You just stay at home because it's gonna be work. You've got an alibi. If you just stay at home, and we'll go deal with this. And she like quite harshly brings people into it, runs the situation. But she is, as soon as she's got that body, she is in charge of what happens to that body. But the thing is, even though she is in charge of this situation and she's very strong in that way, she's also really downtrodden in a really depressing way. So her husband has sort of drifted apart. and she works nights, and it's at the point where they sort of live in separate rooms now, and then they have a older teenage son. I say older because he's like on the verge where he should be getting a job, or either going to university or getting a job. But he's not really doing much with his life, but he will not speak to them. He won't say a word. He just mooches about the house, and it's quite horrible and abusive, and she just doesn't know how this came about. But it's such good writing, because you can kind of see, if you have two parents who barely speak to each other and who are kind of falling apart and are a little bit on the cold side, then yeah, maybe you don't want to open up to them. Yeah, it's really good writing. Really fantastic. So you see, even without the plot, just seeing these character moments have just been so incredible. But there is plot, and the plot is equally enticing and interesting. So I mentioned there's a loan shark. So he comes in sort of midway in the book, I think. But then there is also a nightclub owner, and he has a tussle with the husband that's killed the night that he is killed. And he's a really, I'm going to say, just interesting character for an over. Yeah, how do I describe him without saying the phrase? This is going to be the challenge. Describe him without saying interesting character. He essentially is a sort of ex-Yakuza. He's done something in the past that's really grim, but he's trying to come out of it, and sort of with these like the hostess club and like a gambling den. But other than that, sort of keeping his nose clean-ish, just living his life, and then this whole stuff happens and sweeps him up. I don't really want to go too much into his involvement, because I feel like once we get to a point with him, then there's a shift in the book. And all I will say is, like, once we got in the final, like, third quarter, I would read a bit and then put the book down a bit, and I'd have to chat with my husband and be like, oh god, oh no, I can see what's happening, and oh no, I know what and you just dread the next bit. It's thriller in the best way. So if you want to read a bit of Japan and have a really pretty book as well, I will show these off, I think, in a different video where I can show off the whole lot, because they're really good. So if you're after a thriller, I have to recommend it. But I will put some warnings here. So the first is abuse. As I mentioned, the wife is abused by the husband, so that is physical abuse. And then, naturally, they get rid of a body, which they describe. So if you don't like gore, you might want to just skim over that little bit. And then there is a warning for the R word. So, and then I also want to say, I have mixed feelings about the ending, which I obviously can't discuss because that will be spoilers. I think the ending is maybe, I was going to say, product of its time. I think, yes, a writer in the 90s will go for things that maybe a writer right now would hesitate a little bit. Yeah, I really don't know how to discuss it. I think it would put some people off, or I think some people might be a little bit disappointed, but bear the warnings I've given in mind. If you're okay with those, I think read the book, because even if the ending isn't to your fancy, I think most of, I'd say 95% of the book is well worth reading. Yeah, is there any way I could talk about that ending? Personally, I think I'm mostly okay with the ending. I was gonna come back, but I find it interesting. Again, it really dives into the character studies of everyone involved. Really gets into their psyche, so you can understand it. It doesn't come from nowhere. But it's not going to be for everyone. I'll just say that. So that's it. And even with that ending, do I want to get in the habit of rating things? If I was going to rate it, I think it would still be 5 stars for me. I was hooked. I couldn't wait to find out what was going to happen. I just wanted to know more about the characters every time. I just want bad things for Kaneko, because she sucks. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I really hope I sold you on this, because I had a great time, mostly. Well, yeah. Even if I did decide I didn't like the ending, that's still a good solid 95% of the book. If you really want good character studies, and hopefully it doesn't depress you too much, this is it's fantastic. Give it a try. And that's gonna do it for me. So see you for the next one. Bye.